Welcome to another episode of Bum with a Wrench. I'm your host Daniel, and we're here again on the 1968 Camaro with the Texas Speed LS swap. On that last video, left you with putting the fuel tank in the car. So that's in the car. Haven't done anything to it since. So the plan is on this video is we're trying to get as much done as possible, of course. But I want to start with the fuel injectors. So I'm going to pull the rails back off the intake manifold, change the injectors to the new Holley injectors, put the fittings in the rails, and then I'll probably leave those off because what I ordered was a new valley plate that eliminates this breather tube here. I don't need it because I have a catch can system that's going to go on this car that'll be plumbed in. So I really don't need that breather anymore. And it's kind of in an awkward spot. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You probably can't see it. So this is that breather tube from the stock manifold. This went up and then plugged into the manifold right behind the throttle. So I don't need that anymore because I'm going to use a PCV system off the back of the valve covers over there with a catch can. So I don't need that. So I'm going to get rid of that. It'll be a billet aluminum black cover, and then it's got a little fitting in the back for the oil pressure. So I'm going to take that manifold back off. Pretty simple. It's just, a few bolts and it comes right back off. It's an O-ring gasket, so the motor's never ran, hasn't been on there very long, so it'll just come off, go right back on, torque it down, and you're good to go. So waiting for that to come in to get that installed. I think it'll be here Saturday. Today is, what's today, Thursday? I think today's Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday. So that's the plan. I want to get some of this fuel system buttoned up. I still haven't ordered the fittings for the radiator yet. I'll probably end up doing that sometime today. Getting that done so I can order the fittings and the hose, and really that's there's not much left in that. I do need to order some fittings for the heater core, and so I want to really kind of get the cooling system just done. It's an easy finish. Just want to get it done. I ordered new steam pipe, a new steam pipe kit. Basically what it does is it allows me to, it's got quarter MPT, it's got little billet aluminum standoffs with quarter MPT holes in it, so I can put some AN fittings into it and then make my own steam pipe that's AN that'll come over, that'll go into the radiator AN. Also on the back of the cylinder head, Texas Speed blocked them off. I'm going to put a steam pipe back there as well. I figure, hey, the GM put it there for a reason. Might as well not block it off. So I'm going to put the same system back there, except for I think what I'm going to do on that one, as it comes out of the little fittings and goes into AN, goes across, somewhere in the middle, I'll put a little T-fitting and then AN fitting a 90-degree that'll come back down the side of the cylinder head, and then over the front of the engine, kind of dipping underneath like the fuel line, kind of follow that path. It'll connect into the front steam pipe, similar to the way the back one did, and then it'll come over and wrap and plug into the radiator. I'm not sure exactly the routing on that, if I'll follow the upper radiator hose or if I'll come around the engine on the passenger side and plug it in. Not sure. I'll find out what looks good and fits right. But it'll all be AN fittings. I figured adding that steam pipe to the back of the cylinder head will, just help it with its cooling. GM put it there for a reason. Might as well put it back. So there's a couple kits for that. One of them is a really nice stainless steel hardline kit. With this block that goes in the center of the valley pan underneath the manifold. The problem with that is my my thought and my plan is to actually run the harness through the manifold down there. So I don't want to, you know, gum it up with a bunch of steam pipe stuff. So I'm not gonna use that. I'll just do like I said. I think that'll be the best way. Again, get the fuel rails with the fittings and that. I can hang the fuel pressure regulator up there on the firewall. I also kind of want to mock up the catch can for the system. It's going to go over there as well next to the fuel pressure regulator. So I want to do that. Just kind of button up a lot of things underneath the hood. I do have the stainless steel 3/8 line to run the return line for the fuel system. That's going to be a little bit involved. It'll probably take me most of an entire day to mirror this line. Plus this line comes all the way forward up right here to the front of the engine, because remember this had a small block 350 in it. So it was just, you know, kind of emulating what the older engine was. I don't need it to come up that far. I need it to end somewhere back in there, right where the firewall kind of meets that subframe. So I need to figure that out, how that's going to attach. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a stainless steel braided line and put a little single flare on the end of the stainless steel line, and then I can go ahead and just slip a hose on it and put a fuel injector clamp on it. That should hold, 50, 60, 70 PSI, no problem. And then I'll route that up to the fuel rail, do all the fuel rail fittings, back to the regulator down to the other line. So underneath the car, it'll be stainless steel. Everywhere you can see, it'll be AN. And then on the back of the car where it meets the tank, again, it's going to go from stainless steel to AN. It's an easier way to manage the fuel lines across the length of the car in stainless steel. It's a hard line. It's going to stay in place. It's not going to droop. It's not going to catch on anything. It's just a better way of actually doing that. So that's why in the middle of the car it'll be stainless steel, but then on the ends it'll be AN. AN's very easy to work with. So for any reason, the car sits for a long time, I got to drop the tank and remove the fuel to put fresh fuel in it. It makes it super simple. Twist the lines off, drop the tank, drain it out, put it back, twist the lines back on. There's no playing around with hose clamps or anything like that. It just makes it really easy. Plus it's nice. It fits the build of this car. This car is high dollar, and it's just kind of goes along with that whole that feel of the car anyways, the build. So that's the plan. I really want to kind of work on a lot of the fuel system, and then order up the cooling system and kind of work on that a bit. I still need to deal with the steering. I'm still not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that. It's probably going to be a 2-piece steering shaft, and I still have to get that transmission finalized. I got to cut the hole, put the shifter back on it. Once that's back on, then I can pull the transmission back out, put the throw-out bearing and slave cylinder back on there because it's hydraulic now, put all that back together and final torque everything, button it up, and be done. But when I pull that bell housing off, I also want to trim that bottom scatter shield and engine plate, so it's nice and flush with the engine there at the bottom. So there's quite a bit of things to do still, and that's not everything. We still have exhaust. There's a lot of things to do, but long list of things to do on this car. But for right now, I want to start with the fuel, try and get as much of that buttoned up as possible, and then move over to the cooling, do the same thing, try and get as much of that buttoned up as possible. And then we'll go from there. We'll see how far we get in this episode. I doubt we'll actually finish anything in this episode, but we'll make some really great headway. So thanks for coming along on this journey. Give me a couple minutes. Let me get organized, and we'll start working on this car. All right, guys. All right, want to bring you guys back in on this step, because this is kind of an important step in the process here. I know I've been kind of cut into a lot of this stuff, finished, put together. I really wanted to bring you guys in on this, because this is a lot of what I do. Not everything I order or not everything that I put together just fits nice and, you know, there's no complications with anything. I want to make sure that I bring you guys in for complications, so that you can see, like, these cars that are built on these shows, they're not just perfect parts ordered and perfect parts put on and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't work that way. I'm starting to build the fuel system, and in doing so, I'm also kind of mocking up the catch can that we had pre-ordered, you know, a couple years ago for this car. And what I'm starting to see is that I don't really like the catch can, for one. The pressure regulator is good. Of course, the vision that I had in my head, remember I told you that I'm a real visual person. I like to build stuff in my head and see how it looks. Well, obviously, you know, you build something in your head and you can kind of see how it looks, but at the same time, nothing looks like what it should until it's actually on the car. So let me bring you in here and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about and the direction I think that I'm going to go with it. But it may change. I need to sit down and figure out, you know, what I'm going to do. So here, you see, got the gauges on like I was thinking. I wanted to put them on the back of the rails, but I can't. There's not enough room back there against the firewall. I don't really like the gauges. I don't like the way it looks. I'm probably going to take them off. However, the cool part about this is it's an adapter fitting. So I can literally take this fitting off the rail and then just put the hose on. And then the hose, that same hose would go on this side. So this is kind of a cool fitting. When you're wanting to do tuning and that kind of stuff, you could always throw it on there. Like if you're worried about the rail pressure or something, you could throw it on there. I was more thinking that I would just leave them on there, but I don't think it looks good. 1, 2 is retarded. You don't need 2, especially, you know, all that's separating these two is a hose. So the problem in here would only be the hose. So that really doesn't do anything. I was thinking for symmetry, but, you know, I don't like it. It doesn't look good. So I'm not going to put them on there. I just don't like it. I can't put them on the back because, like I said, it hits the firewall. It's because once you put that fitting and then you put the 90 on it, you know, you're jammed into the firewall. They won't fit. I might be able to put one on the back of this rail. However, that fitting goes right over to the regulator, which I already have one on the regulator anyways. So, don't need it. So, what I was thinking in my mind and how it would look in my mind really didn't play out too well for how it actually looks on the car. Now, this stuff's not too expensive, and like I said, I can use it for tuning, and then I can always use it on another car. So, it's not that big of a deal. You know, I'll put it on the shelf and we'll use it on, I still have the El Camino build. You know, that one's fuel injected as well. So maybe I want to put a pressure regulator on or a pressure gauge on the fuel rail of that car. It's going to have a regulator like this with a gauge on it as well. So there's a problem. The fittings on the back of the fuel rail. So I have some 90s on here. This one on this side is fine. But it does come a little bit too close to the manifold. So if I went to a 45, it would stick off more to the back of the firewall right here. I think it would be a little bit too far. I could try a 45 and see what it looks like. But remember, those fittings are not very cheap. So trying something, you know, might cost you 40 bucks. So, but again, it's not dead fitting. I can always use that fitting on, like, say, the El Camino. So I haven't bought any fuel fittings for that. So I can dig through my bin and say, okay, I have this, I have that, I have this. Okay, I need to order that for this car since I've already ordered it for this car. But, so here's the other one on this side. So again, I have a 90. And if you notice, this one comes real close to the back of this valve cover. So technically you would want it more kind of going over the valve cover rather than trying to dip in behind it. Again, this is a 90. I can't really go down to like a, I don't think they make like a 70 degree, you know, where it's just slightly back. I can check, but I doubt they do, because that's just an odd degree. They might though, I don't know. I'll check. If they do, great. Then I can drop this down, tuck. Now, this is the inlet. So this is coming off the fuel pump and going right in the rail. It goes down the rail, drops to the other side of the rail, goes down that rail into that fitting, and then into the pressure regulator. Pressure regulator drops in a -6 underneath here, and then that goes back to the, returns to the tank. So there's some fitment issues. Definitely, you know, couple fitment issues. So, you know, if you look on the, so on the regulator, it's going to come out of that fitting there, and then it's going to go, you know, probably dip down and then come back up, and it's got to go into that fitting right there on the regulator. So that's close to the inlet fitting on here. So maybe I do a -8 straight to go over that fitting, and then you just give it a natural bend to go in over here to this 90. I don't know. So I got to figure that out. The other thing I can do, and you're probably sitting there going, well, why don't you just move it? Well, I already have those 2 holes. So I used one of them for the regulator, used the other one for the catch can. So that brings us to the catch can. Now I can move the catch can over to that stud. That's, I think, for the vintage air. Yeah, it could be double use, I guess. But I could do that. I could move it over and then move the regulator over to the stud that one's on, which would leave an open stud on the firewall. Not a big deal. I could put a nice button head Allen there and it wouldn't look too bad. So that brings up the other issue here. So what I have is I have the catch can, and it has these AN fittings that come out here. And these are supposed to go over and into the valve cover, which is not a big deal. But when you look at the valve cover, you can see that there's no room between the regulator and that hole. Like, let me get the fitting. So with that, let me get you on the stand. I can kind of cut this open. So with that regulator came some fittings, and one of the fittings that it came with is this weld-on, they call this a bung, yeah, -10 AN weld bung. So basically it's a -10, and then on this side it's a nice fitting to where you could, you know, meet it up to a cap or something and then weld it on, and that'd give you your nice -10, right? Okay. So now we come over here to the valve cover where it would go on, and you can see how close it is to that regulator. So that's not going to work, because even if I put a 120 or 140 degree fitting on that, it's still going to hit that regulator. So that's not going to work. So I think what I'm going to have to do is move the regulator over, which is fine. Again, I can do that. But that leaves me with a nut cert in the firewall that's open. Again, not a problem. I can always just put a stainless steel button head Allen in that hole to fill the hole, and then it wouldn't look that bad. And again, those 2 nut certs in the firewall, those were for the ZZ430. It held the coil. So this I don't really like. The Texas Speed valve covers are set up to accept something like this. They're threaded with a shoulder. So if you look at this, it's got that it's got the O-ring on it, right? And so that's kind of what that's set up for. I can show you with the cap. Hang on, let me grab the cap off of it. Now the cap is a bigger hole. The oil cap on the valve cover is a bigger hole, but it's the same style hole as the one in the back. So you can see the cap. Same as this. Just threaded with an O-ring. That's it, right? So I'm pretty sure I could find that fitting that would fit on the back and give me the AN that I needed, so you could thread it on like a cap and not have to weld it onto something, right? No big deal there. But now I'm back to the AN fitting hitting the pressure regulator. So again, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to move it over. But the other issue that I don't like is this catch can system for the PCV, basically, is what we're talking about. It's vented to the atmosphere, which I don't like. If pressure builds up in the motor, you know, it could cause seals to fail. It's better to have that catch can hooked up to inline with a vacuum source rather than ventilating to the atmosphere. It's basically what this is. So this here, which brings me to this plate. So I ordered a new Valley pan plate because I wanted to eliminate this as a PCV, right? It's a nice billet aluminum plate with the provisions in the back, which this one has provisions in the back for the oil pressure, right? The plate doesn't really fit the build, for one. I don't need this. It's in an odd spot and it just looks, you know, I don't know, strange. I could use this as a ventilation PVC. Leave this plate on, use this as a PVC, run that to a port on the back of the manifold, and have that vacuumed PVC like I want. Or I can get a new catch can that actually is meant to go in line on a vacuum source like most catch cans are. On a newer vehicle, if like say my Mercedes, if I was gonna put a catch can on it, you know, V8 twin turbocharged. Okay, so let me slow it down a little bit and explain the purpose for a catch can, right? Older motors, like this one, with a independent, with a multi-port fuel injection, meaning there's an injector over each valve, right? That's multi-port. Injector over each valve. If you have a PCV system with this style, means that the crankcase ventilation, which contains oil, is being injected into the air-fuel ratio mixture coming into the intake manifold. That's why when you pull apart your intake manifold, you got a little bit of oil in it. Well, it's from PCV. Normally, on a motor like this, as that oil and fuel mixture goes down and hits the top of the valve, that oil is washed away by the injector spring, right? You get that atomization of fuel. It cleans the valve as it injects fuel into that air oil mixture, because there's oil in it, right? On a direct injected motor, which are most motors these days, that fuel injector over top of the valve now is missing. And so you have these PCV systems that are ventilating that crankcase pressure into the manifold, and it's injecting that oil in as well. Now that oil air fuel, or the oil air mixture, because there's no fuel to it yet, is going past the valves. And what's happening is the oil is kind of attaching itself to the intake runners, the top of the valves, and then it makes its way into the combustion chamber, which then the injector is actually in the combustion chamber, and then it makes that air fuel oil mixture, right? Burns it off. The problem is that there's no injector over top of the valve to clean off that oil that's there. So what ends up happening is you get a buildup of oil. You see what they call carbon deposits. That's basically what the oil turns to when it's superheated. And then you've got a poor running engine. The motor doesn't run as well because the lack of efficiency for that air to actually get down in the cylinder. So the solution to that is to put a catch can system on. So what you would do is you would take your PCV system, which is basically a hose that goes from a valve cover to an intake source, and you would put a catch can in between it. So now that pressure as it's being sucked out of the engine has to go into a can, which then lets all the oil drop in the can, and the actual pressure, the air part, will go up into the intake and alleviate the dirty air fuel. So that's the point to a catch can system, right? That's why we're going to do it on this one. So let me take a look and see if there's some things I can look into, and I'll get back to you guys, and let's see what we can come up with. But I just wanted to bring you along to show you some of the struggles that I have and why it takes so long, a couple days, to get some of these simple projects done. All right? Give me a minute. Oh, hey. Just, yeah. Working on the Camaro. Yeah. So, plan has been, well, what I got going on is I went ahead and kind of repositioned, or positioned for you guys, because I don't know if you were here for the reposition, but positioned the fuel pressure regulator and the catch can. So that's where that's going to go. So now that I have those locations nailed down, they're just mocked up fit. I still need to drill some holes in the firewall and put some nutserts. So, but for now, just so I can see where I'm going to put stuff, that's where they're at. They're just kind of hanging on some holes and some screws that were already there. So I stripped the headers off of it, because right now what I'm doing is, I went through and ordered up all the fittings for this. So ordered all the fittings for the radiator. Those are dash 16 straight to with an O-ring to a dash 20 fitting. So ordered all the radiator stuff, ordered all the steam pipe stuff. Here, I'll show you what I did on the steam pipe. So it came with the stock steam pipe. But what I did was I ordered this kit that comes with the little doohickeys here. And I went ahead and just threw away, well, didn't throw away, just threw it back in the box. All of the stuff that it came with it. It's got a little crossover and a stupid little nipple thing that comes out. You're supposed to put a hose on it. You know, don't like any of that stuff. So I ordered all AN fittings, of course. Now you can see this manifold doesn't need this tube anymore. So I ordered a new plate, billet aluminum, black anodized, so it'll kind of go with the whole theme under here. So I'm waiting for that to come in. That'll come in on Saturday. I ordered all the fittings. So dash 4 on the steam pipe. So I got these little connectors there. I got 2 more for the back. Then it'll have a dash 4 that runs down the side of the cylinder head over and meets that one, and then it goes up into the radiator right here. So now, instead of just having the steam pipe on the front of the engine like Texas Speed have, I'll also have it on the back like Chevy designed it to have. So have that coming, have all the injectors. I have new hose coming. I have all the hose for that coming. I have all the fittings and the hoses for the radiator coming. There's a couple things that I missed when I was placing the order. I still have 1-445 that I forgot to order, and 2-10 140 degrees that I forgot to order, along with a dipstick, some AC fittings, and some heater fittings. So got to place another order, no big deal. But I have a lot of stuff going for everything underneath the hood, which is great. Because what I'm trying to get to is just finish underneath the hood. That way it's getting everything done, everything buttoned up, all the hoses connected, all the fittings on, everything just squared away and done. That way when I sit down with that wiring harness right there, I can just sit down and solely concentrate on that. And then when that's done, start the car up, you know? So that's the end goal, of course. So with the hoses, what I did was, is I ordered up some of this stuff. Put you in the sunlight so you can see it. This is nylon wrapped. It has some stainless steel on the inside of it too. It's nylon wrapped exterior. I kind of liked this. I liked this idea. This came with that catch can. So I really like this. I like it because, you know, if you get too much going on the interior of the car, that's just shiny and chrome. It's going to look shiny and chrome. I don't want to draw attention to the hoses that are going to be in here. And just setting that in there, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, you know. It just makes, it fits. It doesn't draw attention away from the shiny bits, and it adds a little bit of more contrast to everything. I think it'll look a lot better with the black anodized valley cover, valley plate, whatever you want to call it. And then with this hose, all of everything's this same style hose. So I think that'll really, you know, kind of dress up the engine bay enough to where it looks nice, but it's not overly shiny under there. I'm not trying to build a chrome car, not trying to build a SEMA car. I'm trying to build a well-built Camaro that you could take to car shows and that you could also take to the track, and you can take, it's just kind of a all-around bruiser, you know. This is a very nice car. At the same time, it's going to get driven. You know, there's a little bit, there's some couple rock chips and stuff on the front end from the last guy who drove it. This car is going to continue to get driven. It is really nice, and it looks really cool, but, and it, you know, you keep it up, wash it, clean it, all that kind of stuff. But it's not a show car. So, anyways, going forward, I spent all morning dealing with this, trying to order that. So that's done. I'm waiting, that'll be in Monday, Tuesday, something like that. So next week, today's Friday, Monday, Tuesday next week, I'll have all the fittings and the hoses, and it'll be a day or two of making hoses, which I have a new tool for that too. So I'm really excited to try and use that. There's this, I'll show it to you. When I was ordering some of the AN fittings and stuff on that last order that I placed, I don't know if you guys have used these before, Cool Tools. Wasn't that expensive, and it comes with these little, they look like little blocks, right? Let me pull this thing out of here. Of course, they give you stickers and instructions and all that kind of good stuff. But this is them right here. So you grab the tool that's good for you. This is size -6, right? So you're going to grab your -6 fitting and you put it on the inside, and then you just close this over your -6 fitting that the hose is going to go into. And then you just go ahead and stick this in the vise in your AN soft jaw clampers. And then you just, you know, put a little lube in there and then shove the hose in. And I watched a guy, you know, of course it was the commercial for this tool, but I mean, he grabbed the rattiest AN line that I could possibly think of. I mean, it had little pieces flying all over the place. And, you know, he stuffed it in there and pulled it out, and it went in the tool perfect. It went in the fitting, no problems. So I was like, you know what? I'm tired of poking my fingers with braided steel. So I thought, I'm gonna give it a try, especially on this car, because this car has every fitting AN. So if that helps me to build AN lines faster, I'm all about it. So we're gonna give that a try. I think this thing's gonna be cool. Now, I didn't get this on Amazon. By the way, this is Summit. You probably find it on Amazon though. I didn't even check, but that was Summit. So anyways, enough of my infomercial on Cool Tools. Not sponsored, by the way, would love to be. I'm gonna get the car up. I stripped the headers out of it stripped a lot of stuff out of the way because I need to run that 3/8 stainless steel fuel line for the return system. So give me a second. Let me get the car in the air, and then I'll give you a quick rundown and show you what I'm going to do, and then I'll let you guys go, and I'll do it, and I'll bring you back. So give me a second. All right, guys. I kind of went back in the videos to see what I had actually shown you from me having it down here on the ground to lifting it up in the air. I thought, you know what, let me go back and see what I actually showed them. So, because I wasn't sure if I actually showed you the original position of the catch can and the regulator, which I did. So I should have done that before I made that last section. I didn't want to go back and refilm the whole thing, you know, lazy. So for reference, on the catch can and the regulator, to fix that real tight fitment of I just shifted everything over. I moved it over about 2 inches, and that kind of solved all the problems of the fittings and running into each other and all kinds of stuff. Now I did have to change those back 90s to, they make 60 degree, so kind of halfway between a 45 and a 90. So I ordered those up with all the other fittings that I ordered. That's going to fix those 2 back fuel lines so that they don't get too close to the manifold, don't get too close to the firewall. So that's how all that ended up getting fixed, and of course then I went ahead and ordered up all the other fittings and stuff that I need. Of course, when it shows up, we'll see what fits, we'll see what doesn't fit. But back to underneath the car. Let me get you over here so you can see what's going on, what I'm going to try and tackle next. So you can see the fuel line sticking out right here. That's in the stock Chevy small block location. I took the little keepers off of it because I'm about ready to remove it. Because what I want to do is I want to cut it right about here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just give that a little bend up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror this line that goes all the way down the car, goes around this side, and goes over there and up by the tank. I'm going to mirror it because that's going to be the return line for the car. I have this bundle of 3/8 stainless steel fuel line. That's going to be the return line. Technically, I bought that for the 7-liter, but you know, share parts. So I'll order some more for that car. No big deal. Okay, so I need to get that done. How I'm going to accomplish that? Let me get to that. So, because you would think, oh yeah, fuel line, you know, hard line, the braided steel line, that kind of stuff. Mounting those 2 together, right? They make a fitting that goes from a stainless steel hard line, or any type of hard line, that converts it to an AN with an AN fitting on the end. However, everything that we're seeing, those fittings only work up to 50 PSI. The stock injectors on this car are 58 PSI, and the injectors I'm putting in are 65 PSI. So those fittings aren't going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a single bubble flare on the end of the line, and then I'll slip a 3/8 fuel injection hose with a fuel injection clamp to a barbed fitting AN fitting, basically. So then I can go from that barbed fitting to AN up on the car where you see everything. Honestly, that's a lot for looks, because otherwise I would just use that 3/8 fuel injection line up the car to the fuel rail. It's going to look goofy because you have literally AN fittings and braided steel line everywhere else except for that one spot. So I need to make that transition. However, I also need to make everything kind of, you know, fit and look right under the hood. So that's why I'm going to do that little transition line like that. I might actually cut it back now that I'm thinking about it, because you can kind of see down the firewall right there in that location, and you would actually see that hose to transition. So I might cut it and do the transition on the side, and then run the fuel injection line, kind of loop over the frame, and then right as it loops over the frame, put a little keeper right there with the AN fitting. I don't know, figure something out. Anyways, that's what I'm going to do. So right now, I'm going to bend that line up, mirror it just like this one, trim that one down. I also have to think about fuel filter. So where I'm going to put a fuel filter on this car, that's the other question. So I'm thinking that I'll probably do it after it comes out of this line, before it goes into the fuel rail, in some kind of serviceable filter assembly that would pretty much be mounted somewhere underneath of the catch can area. I don't know. Haven't found a fuel line for that yet, or a fuel filter for that yet, but that's okay. I just need to mainly get that hard line mirrored up and get that installed into the car. The other thing is that the hard line that's in the car is held by these nice little clamps. So these are great. They work awesome. However, it's only holding one line. So I could do like everyone does and just get another one of these and stick it on the other side with the one bolt holding the two lines apart. And you got the, like they do with the Adele clamps, you know, it looks bad. I know they make one of these that holds two lines. So I'll find that. And if they don't, this is stainless. I can weld that. So I'll make my own if they don't make a line. Because I just don't like the way that looks, having those two lapped over top of each other with a bolt. You know, it just, yeah, doesn't look good. Anyways, moving forward, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get that bent up. I'm going to get this line trimmed. I'm waiting on all those fittings. There's a lot of things I need to do to this car. I have headers that need to be welded. I have exhaust pipes that need to be fitted. I have the transmission hole that still needs to be done. I have power steering lines that I need to run. So there's a lot of things to do. You tackle them one at a time. That's why I'm staying on the fuel line, because I'm trying to get everything underneath the car done as far as fuel goes. If I can check fuel off the check the box of fuel, you know, fuel done. I can check cooling, done. Then I don't have to worry about that anymore. Then I can go to something like power steering and be done with that, right? I'm ADD. But I try and manage it by just staying focused on one thing. It's hard. It is hard. Squirrel. But, you know, you do what you can. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work as hard as I can on that. I think it's probably about 4:30 now. 5 o'clock. Hey, got an hour. Not going to be able to do that in an hour. I did promise my wife this weekend that we would go do something, so I won't be working on this car this weekend. But first thing Monday, I'll be working on this. That's also when all those parts are going to show up. So I'm hoping that I can get the fuel system maybe 95% complete by Tuesday next week. That'd be nice. And then I can move on to the next thing. Now, I also ordered up all of the cooling hoses. Well, most of it. I got some fittings to order for the heater core. I think that's it, really, just the heater core fittings coming out of the side of the block. Oh, I got to order the adapter for the water pump that changes it to AN. When I ordered the Earl's kit, really nice kit, comes with basically the adapter. This is what your thermostat goes into, right? Changes it to a -20, great. But when I saw the kit, I thought it had the slip-on collar adapter for the water pump side of it. Now, if you know these LSs, it's kind of got like a tube that sticks out of it, like a radiator, you know, nipple basically. So what they give you is they give you this stainless steel, heavy duty. I mean, this thing's, you know, beautiful piece. But they want you to weld this onto the water pump. I'm not going to do that. One, I'm not going to do that because, you know, am I going to do that every time a water pump goes out? No. That's crazy. I've seen it. I actually saw Derek on Vice Grip Garage. He used one. So I know they're out there. They're out there somewhere. Somebody's making them. That basically has a piece that you put on and a collar that goes over and it clamps down with an O-ring to make the seal, and it changes it from that hose fitting to a AN fitting. That's all I need. So I'll find it and then I'll order it. So those are the two things that I need. I need the barbs for the heater. I'm going to change those to stainless, and then I need that AN fitting, cooling system's done. Check that off, right? That's what I'm trying to work toward, get all this stuff done. That way I can final fit the transmission, do the power steering. Then when all of that's done, exhaust is in, everything's done, then I want to concentrate on the wiring. Wiring's one of those things where I need to sit down and just totally put 100% of my brain and effort into that, because it's just not easy. So it takes a lot of thinking things through to make it actually work right, especially the way I want to do it. So I'm gonna start working on that. I'm gonna end this episode at this point. Like I said in the last episode, I'm trying to keep them down to like half hour, 45 minutes, and then I make an episode that was like, I think that was an hour and 17 minutes long. Can't do that. Got to keep them down. I know I talk a lot. I know I talk a lot, but I need to keep them down. Before I let you go, though, I forgot. I want to show you guys one thing. One thing. When I ordered up all the hose, I went ahead and did something a little different, and I think you guys are going to like it. I ordered up, this thing already bit me once, so I'm bleeding all over the place. I ordered up nylon, black nylon. This stuff is really cool. It's got a little bit of a shininess to it. Let me get you over here into the light where you can see this. Can you see that? You see the shiny? So it's shiny, right? But it's not like stainless shiny. It's not like chrome shiny. So I think it looks really good. And so there's already a lot of polished and chrome and that kind of stuff underneath the hood. I felt like adding your normal AN line, stainless line, would just be too much. So I think, and I started working with this underneath the hood, and I thought, man, that looks really good. I think it all should be in that. That way it adds some contrast under the hood, and it's not so just overwhelming stainless look, right? So I really like this. I think this is going to look really good. So, but for reference, this is -10, right? The fuel line that all of the fittings for like the fuel rail and that kind of stuff, it all came in a -8, which is really big. That's -8. This is -10. You can see the size. Now let me show you the size that normal people run on a fuel system. This is -6. So this is 6. This is what they want you to run, 10 or 8, right? Way overkill. I mean, this thing is so big. Okay, sorry, GoPro got hot. I guess it's trying to tell me that this episode's over. So that was it. I hope you guys liked the line that I chose for all the AN fittings. That's the cooling lines, the fuel lines, the steam pipelines. Everything's going to be in that black. I think it's going to look really good. Not overdo the shininess underneath the hood and give it a little bit of contrast. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, as always. And I hope you like this episode. I hope you like this car and this build. I'm having an absolute blast. I'm telling you, it's so much fun. Put in the comments if there's anything that I missed or anything that you want to see more of. I'm trying to bring you guys in as much as I can, but some of the stuff's a little bit hard to film because it's so just time consuming. Sitting at the computer ordering fittings for 4 hours is not fun. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe, and hit that bell. Hit that bell. That bell's going to bring you in and let you know exactly when I release these videos, so that way you can stay up to date on what's going on with the car. Thank you guys, everybody. Thank you so much. And as always, until next time. All right. Dang it. Now I got to bend up fuel line.